Hey guys, Sunday night. We're wrapping up the weekend. I hope it was a good weekend for everyone. It was a good weekend for me. Nothing super special, which makes it all the more special if you think about it. You know, Abraham Maslow talked about peak experiences, um, which was a big thing in his teachings for a while. Meditation, we always shoot for those peak experiences, that perfect meditation that we see the blue pearl point between the eyebrows, that spiritual light. Or, of course, Miracles talks about light episodes, um, or those big major synchronicities. All of those are wonderful signs that our practice or progress is uh, chugging along, but they're not the thing itself. But unfortunately, we think that they are. We're chasing after the psychic phenomenon and forgetting that really it's about being of service to others. Oops, I got my wrong live stream up. Hey, Lucy. There we go. I had tomorrow morning's live stream up. Hi, Selma. Lucy says, so Selma, my unicorn mofo princess. What it all comes down to, I was having a wonderful conversation with Kat, and we were talking past lives, and we were talking extraterrestrials and um, spiritual powers and all that other stuff. And again, all of it is good, but it's not the thing itself. And I was explaining how, you know, Buddhism and yoga, wonderful paths. I consider myself a yogi. I have a deep and committed practice to yoga. The traditional path, I honor the what's called the yamas and the niyamas, which are the ethical restraints. I practice non-harm. I practice uh, telling the truth. I practice um, all of the yamas, all of the niyamas, as well as the breath work, as well as the asanas, as well as the withdrawal of the senses and a full path of meditation. I've studied Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Buddhist expert. I've done some Buddhist retreats and I practice Buddhist meditation from time to time. All of that seems to take a while. But think of it as uh, polishing, polishing the mirror, right? What I loved, what I fell in love, and this is what we were saying. I was saying with the cat. But I fell in love with the Course of Miracles is because the Course of Miracles said all of that is good. Every path is a legitimate path, but A Course of Miracles says it'll take you there like that. The reason why is because it's hard. I think that A Course in Miracles is actually harder than yoga. I think it's harder than Buddhism because sometimes forgiving those things we simply don't want to forgive is the hardest thing in the world. And that's why it's like a quantum leap in the experience of peace. I got immediate benefits from meditation. Hey, Julie, how are you, my friend? I get immediate benefits from meditation as well as breath work, calm, and yet something, even after decades of practice of meditation, someone could cut me off in traffic and I would still flip them off, right? Or I would still get upset, or, I would still hold a grudge. Meditation made it easier. Kat says, love you all. Thank you, Kat. Meditation and breath work, my yoga asana practice made it easier. It was invaluable for me to leave drinking behind. Julie says, doing well, Yogi. Thanks. You're welcome, my friend. Lisa says, slow the cat. Hey, Lucy, are you subscribed to my friend Julie? Um, so again, meditation and yoga, invaluable. I think everyone should meditate, pretty much everyone. But it was the practice of forgiveness that had the most immediate impact on my life. because I knew I would have to. If I wanted to be at peace, I knew that I had the tool that could deliver me at peace right now. It didn't need to sit on a mat. It didn't need to be any specific position. I just needed to realize I'm either going to forgive or I'm not. I'm either going to choose peace or I'm not. I'm either going to choose the guidance of the Holy Spirit or I'm going to choose the ego. Now, very often I would still do choose the ego. But now I know and I realize I'm choosing the ego, and that way is never going to bring me peace. Lucy says, I was just watching the video first. Got you. Thanks, Lucy. So it's a shorter path, and that's what the Course promises right at the beginning, that this is not the only path, but it's the fastest, it's the shortest. That's actually the short path versus the long path, even in yoga. The path of non-duality, looking. That was one of my first experiences, the state of non-duality, was doing Douglas Harding's headless approach, where you point and you realize, you look in the direction of your pointing, not at the finger, but in this direction. And you look and then you describe what you see. Not only describe, you experience what you see. And if I look in this direction for my own head, I do not see a head. I don't see a face. I've never seen my own eyes. We've never seen our own head before. Ever. We've seen reflections, photographs, drawings. We've heard descriptions. We've never seen our own eyes before. If I look in this direction, I see a little bit of glasses coming out. I see a tip of a nose. When my mustache gets bushier, I might see a little bit of that. But where is that emerging from? It is emerging from this infinite spaciousness, no-thingness. And yet, this no-thingness is the potentiality to hold everything, and it's seamless. So this nothingness is the capacity for everything, and this everything exists within the capacity of which I am. Profound experience of non-duality. Forgiveness takes you there as well, because I know there's so many grudges my ego will never let go of. And when I relate to the ego, I'm stuck. But just like pointing, hey Hamza, how are you? Just like pointing, forgiveness returns to me to that infinite potentiality of nothing need be forgiven. Because ultimately, if it's the ego that refuses to forgive, it's the ego that's holding the grudge. If it's the ego that's upset, and I see the transparency of the ego, I see the transitory nature, always shifting, always moving, always trading this identity for another identity for another identity. Cat says, sub to Julie. Awesome. Thanks, guys. You would love Julie's channel. It's an Isle of Peace. You guys heard me quote Herman Melville, the insular Tahiti, that in the Verdant Sea, surrounded by, surrounded by the darkened ocean or something along those lines. I could look it up. I'm going to look it up because this is what it reminds me of with Julie's channel. Good old Goodreads comes up with a quote. For as this appalling ocean surrounds the verdant land, so in the soul of man there lies one insular Tahiti full of peace and joy, but encompassed by all the horrors of the half-known life. So within all the stuff online, the seemingly endless amount of pettiness and bickering and feuding, political discord. We can call that the appalling ocean. But in that appalling ocean, there is one insula Tahiti full of peace and joy. That's how I think of Julie's channel. It's full of peace and joy. I love it. You guys will too. Praveen, my friend, how are you? How is Diwali? So that's why I practice A Course in Miracles. That's why forgiveness is the main practice. Everything else I do prepares me to be a better forgiver. My yoga asanas, getting my body quiet and still, helps me to be more forgiving. Meditation provides that little bit of stepping into the awareness that allows me to know that what the Course is saying is true. The ego doesn't truly exist. Because I can see it. Meditation allows you to see that. If you meditate in the first 3 weeks, you will clearly get the feeling that you are not your thoughts. It's a clear experience that you are the witness to the thoughts. Julie says, thanks everyone. Amazingly sweet, Yogi. You're welcome, Julie. I really believe in what you're doing. Hey, Julie, and if you want to see some of the most clever and creative lesson presentations, course lesson presentation, make sure you check out Chat's shorts. Absolutely amazing. Lady Sky, hey Lady Sky. Lady Sky said hi. Julie says just subscribe. Cat, Julie, Cat has just finished Disappearance of the Universe. Hey, Sniper. Cat says, thanks, Yogi. Thank you, Cat. I'm thinking about practicing forgiveness without the metaphysics of A Course in Miracles and why it's so much harder. This guy says, what was your supper tonight, Yogi? Same thing as yesterday and a week before and a month before and a year before. Honest. So I eat pretty early. My main meal, I have like breakfast. I break my fast at about 4:30 or so in the morning. And then I have my main meal, my biggest meal, which is lentils, rice, mixed with right now sweet potatoes, but sometimes regular potatoes. And then it's served over steamed vegetables, usually kale, broccoli, sometimes other things. Handful of nuts, and I'll have fruit for breakfast. Or I'm sorry, I'll have fruit for dessert. And then a couple of hours after that, usually after my second live stream, I have just a very large salad and maybe another bowl of oatmeal, sometimes a protein shake, and I'm good to go until the next morning. I'm a very boring person. Praveen says, just like the Diwali lights, drive away darkness, forgiveness, and letting go of ego illuminates the soul and bring a true inner peace. Beautifully said, Praveen. As well, I like the way you love the way you tied that in with the Diwali Festival of Lights. Julie says, hey to squirrel. Zipper says, greeting Cat and Jack, Julie and Praveen. Lady Sky says, sounds delicious. It is good. I enjoy it. People are like, how can you actually do that every day? But I really enjoy the food that I eat. Hey, Jacob. Jacob, you're putting in awesome work. Guess I say, Yogi, when someone upsets me, eventually I can see them with eyes of compassion when I can release them to somebody I love. Is that just a distraction or a step towards forgiveness? I think it's a step towards forgiveness. I think everything is a step towards forgiveness in that way. When you know that whenever you're kinder, whenever you're more gentle, whenever you're compassionate and empathetic, um, it opens that gateway for forgiveness. It isn't true forgiveness in and of itself, but it is a step in that direction. This guy says no meat, Yogi, no protein. Well, I get all my protein from plants, but no meat. I've been a vegan for about 16 years now. Ravine says, hey, the sniper. We got some Jacob love. Thanks, Jacob. Yeah, I haven't had meat, dairy, anything that comes from an animal in a little over 16 years. Actually, probably getting close to 17. I don't know the exact date I became a vegan. I know some people do. The same way that I don't know the exact date I quit drinking, the way some people do. I really feel, with the drinking, you guys heard me talk about this before. I simply stepped into a new life in which I was no longer a drinker. So there was no, it was grace, undeserved, as all grace is, so to speak. Figure of speech. They discuss as plant-based food then, Yogi. Yep, 100%. Hey, Melvin. Melvin says nerd. Yep, well, it depends on how you define nerd. If you're defining nerd as someone very, very smart, then I am most definitely not a nerd. Uh, so yeah, I don't know if nerd is the right. I think you could, I think you could do something better. Don't let the glasses fool you. I'm not as smart as the glasses make me seem. What I notice is if you put on glasses and you wag a pen, people are gonna like, man, that guy's really smart. He's got to be a genius. No, it's all an illusion. Remember. Lucy says I have to have meat. Same with sugar, with candy and Debbie snacks. Bacon, right? You got to have bacon, sugar, well, candy and Debbie snacks and bacon. The trifecta. I'm a plant-based vegan, which sounds sort of ridiculous, right? Whole Foods plant-based. Um, but you know, nowadays you got to clarify that because I could eat, all the fake meat and all that stuff, and I have, and I probably will again. But primarily, I'm a Whole Foods plant-based vegan. Sniper says, Melvin, Melvin, Melvin. I can see Sniper shaking his head. Pop back in when you change your mind. This guy says, I have the meats. I'm like Arby's Meadow. You have the meats. I remember the last kind of meat that I had. The last like non-vegan thing was, I believe, salmon. David says, many of my friends eat plant-based protein only. Lucy's laughing. So, Kat, I want to piggyback on your question. I think it's a wonderful step. Any kind of compassion and empathy and any kind of kindness, a wonderful step towards forgiveness. But hey, what's the matter? Thank you. I appreciate that. This shirt is probably 20 years old. as is pretty much every bit of clothing that I have. Um, but we can, ladies, guys, Yogi and his pen. Yep. Well, good thing Soma isn't here to tell me not to wag it. I'm really not wagging it as keeping cadence. No, Lady Sky says no pen wagging. Selma has rubbed off. But I think that we can dismiss forgiveness when we get caught up in the compassion, empathy, and we forgive from the level of uh, forgiving by the level of the ego. So we got to make sure that we're taking it all the way and turning it over to the Holy Spirit, knowing that without turning it over, without that final step, we're stuck. It's not ultimate forgiveness. Does that make sense, Kat? That's the final step that we have to take. That's why a lot of times we think, well, I've forgiven. I have compassion for this person. I feel empathy for this person. I've forgiven. That doesn't necessarily mean it's forgiven unless we've turned it over to the Holy Spirit. It's still stored somewhere in our body. It's still a cellular energy stuck somewhere. It's the Holy Spirit that cleanses. Kat says, yes, Yogi, that makes sense. That's exactly what I was hinting at. You need to take that final step. And in some ways, we could say that's the easiest step of all because it's the Holy Spirit that does all the work. We just need to get there. Spinach is awesome protein. At least that's what Popeye says. I like spinach quite a bit. Jacob says, I didn't mean to hide him, Cypher brother. I touched the wrong button on the touch screen. Just trying to time him out for a minute. My mistake. Not a problem, Jacob. Paveen says, sir, how are the lights on both sides of my house and also the streets tomorrow is Diwali from 7 p.m. till 12 a.m. I will feel like war. It will feel like war. Cracker sounds, innocent street dogs, animals get afraid. That's got to be hard for you, my friend. It's got to be so difficult for you. For one, you got such a large and loving heart. You're so kind spirited, and you got that from your father. Animals really do suffer. A lot of animals really do suffer during any kind of firework display. David says, I tried plant-based protein, like on the packet it says plant-based mutton. It's really made up of plants, but feel like I'm eating mutton. I will say a good way to become vegetarian with plant-based. It is. It's a really good way. And for some people, that might be, the way to go. Hey, Sue, Bud Files is here. I do eat beets. It's been a while. I only eat beets one particular way, roasted. Hey, Selina, how are you, my friend? We get more Jacob love. Thanks, Jacob. What's the matter? You says how to forgive people who can continue to run around acting like psychopaths because they're immune from consequences. That's my difficulty. That's everyone's difficulty. How do you forgive what really seems almost unforgivable, especially because they keep doing it? But forgiveness is never about the other person. It's about being free of the belief that there is another person. That's why ultimately forgiveness is taken care of by the Holy Spirit. And what's the matter, you might not like using that term Holy Spirit. So if you don't throw it away, you could use turning it over to Jesus. You could use turning it over to Krishna, to Shiva, to Allah, to Buddha, to consciousness, to higher mind, to your better self, to your higher self, to the Tao. Whatever metaphor, whatever symbol works best for you. And that's how we forgive. Because at the level of the mind, you want to be free, or you want to realize that you're already free of that which is bothering you. A beautiful example I heard, and think it was from course teacher Sarah Singh, who said, right now, the very same thing, those very same type of people are in someone else's life, and that person is immune to their antics, to their shenanigans, to their ne'er-do-welling, to their annoyingness, which shows that every single issue is an issue of the mind. It's never about the people, it's about us. Hey, Dan. Dan, how are you? How was your workout today, Dan? Hey, JR Jim. Yogi, long time to see. Hope you're well, Yogi. I'm good, my friend. How are you? I've managed to catch some of your shorts. Pretty awesome work. Last time we talked, you were just recovering. So I take it you're fully recovered, working hard again? What's the matter? You says that's true. It's never really about others. And that's how we forgive. Ultimately, you want peace of mind. Ultimately, you want a calm mind and a loving heart. So that's why, not only why we forgive, it's how we forgive. Dan says, good, getting ready to mow the last mow. Last mow for the year, you think? Selina says, Swami, Guru, Yogi, you are mine. You missed one. Friend. You missed the most important one. You missed the only one. Selina has been a friend for, it's probably been, 2 years now? In the early days. Dan says, yeah, getting cold. You know, the leaves haven't even fully dropped here. It's really late this year. Don't know why. So what's the matter with you? Does that make sense? On the level of the mind, that's where we forgive. On the level of the ego, we don't. We might think that we do, but it's conditional until you piss me off again, until you, break out the leaf blowers at 6 a.m. in the morning, until you cut me off in traffic. It's all conditional. 2.5 years. It's a long time. It's a long time to put up with me, Selena. What's your secret? How'd you do it? Praveen says, Baba Yogi, sir. Auntie Adam, sir. Sniper, sir. Lucy, ma'am. And Lady Sky. Take care, Praveen. Thanks for hanging out. I know it's late for you. Hey, Jamie. Sniper says, take care to Praveen. Postman says, yes, makes perfect sense. It's doing yourself a huge favor. Yes, the greatest favor you can give yourself. Hey, Toy Pups. Joe says, I'm back at it. Yes, Yogi. From JR. You're looking strong. One of the things I've always enjoyed about your shorts and your live streams, perfect form. It's like no such thing as something called momentum. Everything is slow, controlled. Awesome to see. Hey, Kidda, how are you, my friend? Thank you, Toy Pups. Poor man says, mushy peas, JR. I was talking about mushy peas this morning. Undisclosed source, I can't say who I mentioned it to. I swore them to secrecy. Sending love vibes. Appreciate it, Toy Pups. Hey there, Tiger King. Toy Pups. Goddess, nice lady. She is a nice lady. Hey, Estat. JR says, thanks, Yogi. And yes, Dan. Kenna says, good. How are you? I'm good, Kenna. What's Matter says, Toy Pups, forgiveness. Toy Pups says, love you, Tag King. DC says, hi to Toy Pups. And hello to Kenna. Yeah, I know you've been down, Tiger King. You were talking to Marlon about the piece. I was talking to someone else. All right, I'm going to let the secret out of the bag. I swore him to secrecy. I was talking to Skits about mushy peas. I can't reveal why, but we were talking about protein sources. And I said, all right, I hate to admit it. And I'll deny it. So I'm going back on what I was saying. I told him I would deny it if he ever brought it up in public. But I'm letting the cat out of the bag. I brought up mushy peas as a good source of protein. I would never use it myself. I use pea protein, guys. And as been pointed out to me, that's like the ultimate mushed pea, isn't it? I can't think of it that way. What's Matter says, oh, sorry, JR, asked that topic. Forgiveness. Yes. That's what we were talking about. Toy Pup says, say Lucy, networking queen. Nope. Lee is not here right now. He was in this afternoon. Poor man says, Skits, dang, I should have known. The Mushy Pea King. As a matter of fact, this was a birthday card that Skits sent me. Happy birthday. Of course, he signed it Mush Love. Skits is one of a kind. Postman says, love peas, they taste great. Not a pea person. Thank you. The air in the bag was kind of stuffy, but I had to let the cat out of the bag sooner or later. You can't keep a good thing secret, can you, cat? Toy Pup says, no, yup, the mushy peas. You and I are on the same page, Toy Pups. As we are on a lot of stuff. Piper says, we'll be chatting on Tuesday night with the points of the Heartman and Curry grids. So that's all going to be new information for me, Sniper. Looking forward to asking you some questions. Blue Moon says, mushy peas, baked beans better. Lentils cooked in a Instapot. My go-to protein. Hey, All Dog. Lucy says she's still heartbroken, Blue Moon, but I really don't want to keep harping on that. I'm suffering enough already. All Dog says vegetable protein is only half a protein. You need a full package. You need animal protein. Depends on what science you're looking at there, my friend. 16 plus years of being plant-based, running 100-mile races, competing earlier before that in kettlebell sport, would say otherwise. Hey, Adam. Sweating and smiling. How are you? We got some more Jacob love. Thanks, Jacob. Women wanted to know if All Dog liked football, and All Dog does not like football. Adam says mushy peas are the best, especially on pizza. Hey, Brian. Please stop the mushy talk. been a while since we've had a mushy pea discussion. Couscous and avocado are my main veg proteins. I like couscous. I like falafel. Chickpeas are very versatile. You can do a whole lot with chickpeas. Or if you don't like peas, you can call them garbanzo beans. L-Dog says, when I was trying to be a bodybuilder, I learned something about protein source. Me too. I actually almost competed. I was in shape to compete in bodybuilding. I did compete in powerlifting. I trained Olympic lifting, but never competed in Olympic lifting. But yeah, actually, when I was 16, I was entered in the Mr. Annapolis and the Mr. Baltimore competitions. I chickened out both times, and then I thought about it again in my 20s. It was just being too shy to get up on stage. And there's actually quite a few vegan bodybuilders. There's some vegan professional bodybuilders do quite well. Lisa says, when I was trying to be oops, where did Lucy go? Said hello to Brian. Kat says, I'm sorry, Lucy. I love you. What did I miss from Lucy? Anything? Oh, Rosamana says, are peas legumes? They are legumes. I should look that up. Legumes are tricky. They are, because peanuts are legumes. There's a couple of other what we consider nuts that are actually legumes. Lucy says, thank you, Kat. Kat wants to know, Brian, how turtles are? Hey, Michael, mushy peas makes Yogi want to sneeze. And a few more things too. Man, I just don't know if I can do it. Peas are kind of sweet. I don't understand why they're not into some type of flour. They are in some type, I believe. Adam says there's no diet that works for everyone. What's your diet like, Adam? Blue Moon says, Brian, you save guy like us, mate. Dan says, doesn't matter as long as you're in calorie surplus, you'll gain. You will gain. Deficit, you will lose. Always made sense. Sweater Smiley says, are the pro vegan bodybuilders also juicing? I'm gonna, of course, I can't speak for them, but I'm gonna guess yes, they are. Adam says, what's the best way to gain weight with vegan? I'm gonna go with what Dan just said: excess calories. Now it's a little harder to get more calories on a vegan diet because most plant-based foods are nutritiously dense but low in calories. So it's a great way to lose weight. But you got to eat a lot more. You're going to have to, and it's not the best for health, turn to, nuts, nut butter, peanut butter, avocados, more base your diet to gain weight. It would be based more on fat than if you wanted to lose weight because it's more calorically dense as well as being nutritiously dense. There's a guy that's vegan juicing. Yeah, there's probably quite a few, gym vegans who are juicing. I never understood juicing just to get. If you're at that level and you know that in order to be 100% where you want to be, you need to do it. That's a choice you're going to have to make. Thanks, Jacob. But to just be, it was offered to me in my heavier lifting days. People like, You could be one of the strongest guys in the gym, and like, I don't want to jeopardize my health to be a strong guy in a gym. I was already fairly strong. I competed, never the best, never won anything, but I trained for it. I stepped up on the platform. Here's what I wish I did, but it wasn't really around back then. I would love to have done the Highland Games. We get some more peas, but they're not mushy from JR. Odok says, my message was removed because of the truth. Sad. Not by Yogi, but by the universe. You don't want to be part of this knowledge. What did I miss? You want to try it again, L-Dog? I'm ready for your truth, my friend. What would a vegan do if they're allergic to nuts? Well, you don't need to eat them. But if you want to gain weight, it's an easier way to do it because they're so high in calories, higher in fat. Fat calories are always going to be greater than a legume, than a leafy green, than a fruit. Some exceptions. Like avocado is a fruit and it's very high in calories, but it's also high in fat. So if you're allergic to nuts and you need more fat, eat more avocados. Hey, Dees, how are you? Dees, you will never be banned, my friend. Adam says, sweating and smiling, Adam says, I'm mainly on the animal-based diet, carnivore plus fruit and honey. When I became vegan, I was basically a frugivore, fruitarian. Man, I lost a lot of weight really quick. A lot of it was muscle as well, but I was also training to be an ultra runner. So I was putting in 100 miles a week. Thanks, Toy Pups. Tiger King says, how are my two black cats? They're doing pretty well. My upstairs black cat meditated with me today. I don't always have her in a room, but if she's in the room, when I start, I never chase any of my cats away. My cat's in the center of my bed. When I go to bed, I sleep on the edge of the bed. Now, in my sleep, if there's some tossing and turning going on and the cat gets disturbed, that's not on me. But I give my cats all the space they want. He's called a genetic anomaly. Who's that, Dan? D says, thanks to Sniper. D's, how are you, my friend? S that says, pistachio nuts are amazing. They are amazing. I have about 12 almonds a day. I have one Brazil nut a day. All you really need is one Brazil nut a day. And even that might be too much. I'm not saying you can't eat more, but you get all the selenium that you need in one Brazil nut. Adam's still going to change his diet. What kind of changes are you thinking about making? How many milligrams are you getting, Dan, of melatonin? I was doing, in my worst, full-blown anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, I was doing 10, sometimes 20 milligrams a day. Now I do 1 milligram a day, which I got to take. Oh, vegan bodybuilder genetic anomaly. Not. I said it right the first time. Tiger King says, who likes Halloween on here? Who drops this questions for all of you? Hey, Ahmed, how are you, my friend? I'm not like huge on Halloween. It was fun when I was a kid trick or treating. It was fun when I drank going to bars. 20 milligrams. Do you take it mixed with anything else? Uh, Adam says iodine is important. Iodine is important. And you know what? You were talking about spinach. Spinach is a good source of iodine, isn't it? Pistachios, cashews. I like cashews a lot. Pecans are my favorite. It says, what are you taught? I'm taking 1 milligram of melatonin. I prefer to take it with L-theanine, which is the amino acid found in green tea and it helps you relax, as well as with 3 different types of magnesium, but it was getting really expensive. I eat lettuce and tomatoes with meat. It's a good combination. Green beer. St. Patrick's Day. Oddly enough, we used to consider St. Patrick's Day amateur night. I mean, heck, I was out drinking every night of the week. I didn't need a special occasion to drink. I should have realized then and there that I had a problem. Amazing how we proceed through life not only holding on to our problems, but sometimes even glorifying in them. Dad says no green beer, St. Patrick's Day, not Halloween. Of course, you could have green beer any time of the year. When was the last time you had a drink, Dan? L-Dog says anti-hair growth pills. I don't think I need any help with that, L-Dog. What's the matter is laughing with L-Dog? Yogi, do you have kids come to your house for trick-or-treating? You know what? I don't think they've come to the house since the shutdown, since COVID. Maybe I should take down that leave me alone sign I have on my door. Lettuce and tomato as close as I'll get to being a vegetarian. I would have said the same thing up until my 20s. In my 20s, I turned vegetarian. As that says, isn't it bizarre that the things that are good for us come with a premium price? It is. Kat and I talked about that. It's really can be more expensive to eat healthy. I don't know ultimately so. I could eat pretty inexpensive if I wanted to go with just the bare basics. Greens, lentils, rice, oatmeal, potatoes. And when I could afford it, some fruit. Those 5 would be the basic. Really wanted to be like 100% good, I would throw in some type of fruit, probably berries, as berries pack the greatest antioxidant punch. And I would throw in nuts. So that would make 7 things that I could survive on. I could take 2 of those away. Might be a few other things, if I could afford it, but if I had to survive on the bare necessities. Yeah, Kat, you said it was the houses were too far apart for you to get too many kids, right? But I mean, I could go in with $10 in any fast food restaurant and eat like a king. Hey, Caleb, Bill, how are you? Stephen says, Blue Moon Tiger King. I don't do things by halves. It's best for me to not scare the children because I would have the extra mile as I grew up with movie special effects. I can definitely see that, Sniper. Thanks for hitting the like button, Kayla. Kina, how many milligrams do you take? Have you taken? Do you know? Because it might. Do you have trouble sleeping? We talk about sleep hygiene pretty frequently. Dan says, remember going to a bar, they mixed the green dye too strong. Oh, made teeth green. How long did that last for? Goodman says, would you ever come to UK, England? I would like to say yes. I would like to say that I'd really love to. And on one level, I absolutely would. On another level, um, I don't know if really long distance travel. Uh, it's not in my immediate future. Now, some traveling is definitely in my immediate future, but like different countries, maybe again one day I would like to. Right now, I'm pretty settled. Not in a bad way. I'm just happy where I am, content where I am. Bloom where you planted. Dan says last April, had a bit of a step, drank for about a week. I remember that, but you were going through a tough time. Hey, but we're at 6 months now, the 6 month mark. You feel like you got your sleep in order? I know you said with the melatonin that you've been sleeping better. Lisa says yes already, and I told you I'm not going to continue to harp on that, Blue Moon. Yeah, gotta respect other people's boundaries. Adam says not sure, just keep it simple. Eat clean, watch calories, portion size, limit alcohol, fasting, and burpees. That sounds like a plan. How many hours a day are you fasting or thinking about fasting? Hey, Super Champ. Super Champ, I did take my pill. And I mentioned you earlier today. I mentioned you and L Dog and how completely awesome it is that sometimes you guys show up just to remind me to take my pill. Thank you, Tiger King. L Dog says, my bowels don't like vegetarian food. Nature's saying no, bro. If you don't eat it, it takes some time. Like anything, your body has to adjust. Kenneth says he's good. She's good. I'm sorry. I apologize. What's the matter? You says Cat and Jack. Maybe they actually went sane and almost everyone else is crazy. Did I miss something, Cat? Pemmican is the best survival food. Yeah, it's very calorically dense. Dan says you can live off rice for a long time, be skinny, but alive. True. Man, in an emergency, like an extended, some type of shutdown, if you had rice and you were growing some greens, you might be good to go. Oh, there's Cat. Cat says, used to have a Polish Mental Health Institute sign at the beginning of my driveway as a joke. Unfortunately, someone up here did go crazy. Wasn't such a great idea. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. What's the matter? You says he used to do our house up so scary. Kids would just stand on the sidewalk and cry with their eyes out, refuse to come up. That's pretty scary. Kidda says 2 milligrams. So maybe try a little bit more, Kidda. I think the standard dose for most people is 5, and then you can adjust from there. I think you can go as high as, I think recommended as high as 10, but if you need it, I could be wrong about that. Hey, have you ever made it has art, pemmican. You ever made your own pemmican, Adam? Odo says, Yogi, you seen my food post? I can tell your egg in the morning will gift you energy most of the day. I'm pretty good with energy. If I needed to, for whatever reason, needed to make a change and it needed to include some animal protein, uh, free range eggs would probably, I'd have cat semi eggs. Big bags of dried rice, dried beans. Yep, I get a 50-pound bag of rice. 50-pound bag of rice will last me for probably almost a year, if not a year. And I get a 20-pound bag of lentils. That will only last me about 4 months, but that's still pretty good. Hey, Falcon. Falcon, how are you, my friend? Good old llama's bread. What is llama's bread? You guys ever had Ezekiel bread? Adam says, I don't have any regular fasting schedule. I usually skip breakfast, but not always. I usually eat when hungry. Laura and I like to do 48-hour fast once a month. Gotcha. Nice. That's it. Good fast, especially once a month. I would used to regularly fast 18 to 22 hours every single day. Uh, it became tough when I was ultra running because I would have to force a large amount of calories in a short period of time, which caused acid reflux, which caused uh, insomnia, and it caused anxiety, and it caused panic attacks. Other stuff fed into that as well. So I had to make some adjustments. Dan says, got that covered too. Hey, Dan, are you going to go hunting this year? I know you tried to go out last year. Be true of heart muscles, organ meats, B12. Now I do take a multivitamin. I also take extra magnesium. I take creatine. I know some of you guys were taking a large amount of creatine. I take the micronized so I get by on less. Kat says, "Call me. I got your eggs. You're my source, not just for the eggs." Jamie says, "What would you do if you couldn't get access to B12 supplements or fortified foods?" Me, um, it's a good question. It's a good question. You know, you used to get B12 from plants because it was in the soil, but now the soil has been depleted of its nutrients. I guess if we're going to play the game of like what if, I could say, well, if I was growing my own vegetables in nutritionally rich ground, but sometimes you do got to supplement a bit. I don't take a B12 supplement. My B12's always been fine. Vegan pemmican says, what's the matter? Adam says, 48 hours of fasting is serious to me. It'd be serious for me too. Falcon says, oh, yeah, you're right about that. Thank you, Falcon. Mushrooms and spirulina. Eldog says, free range tastes amazing and normally bigger eggs too. Kat, didn't you have like a gigantic egg a while back? You made a short and you had like one hugely gigantic egg. We got some love from Falcon. Thank you, Falcon. Adam has made some pemmican, although I wanted to. I haven't made pemmican. Has a shelf life of about a year. Falcon has had a same bread. Spirulina. Astot is flexin. Jamie says to Falcon, spirulina has pseudo B12. It can even interfere with B12. Be careful with it. I haven't heard of that before. Interesting, Jamie. Yeah, I would take Sniper says yeast extract. You find B12 abundant. I've used I forget the type of yeast. You can do brewer's yeast, high in B12. I've supplemented with yeast, and I can't remember the kind that I used. Odok says, Yogi heard about the sharks eating liver. I don't like as much. I haven't heard about the sharks eating liver. Adam says, I like those bluish and pink eggs from those fancy chickens. They got fancy chickens? Cat, you never told me there's fancy chickens. Broken says, I've heard our homegrown greens thorium that grows on them contain B12 also. L-Dog says, fortified flour is law in the UK. And Falcon says, yes, brewer's yeast. I used to way back, my early teen years, I used to supplement with brewer's yeast. Take all kinds of crap. Because I trained with he was the Mr. Maryland at the time, training for the Miss America contest. He took me under his wings, and if he said try it, I tried it. Sometimes I think he was just getting me to do nasty stuff. What's the matter? You says fasting doesn't seem equal longevity. The body apparently needs stress and state of need to keep its repair functioning systems maximum. Oh, it does. Does seem to equal longevity. Agreed. Adam says sleep. Jimmy says, what's the matter? But too much fasting can cause you to waste muscle. Yeah, I think you need to find, like everything, you need to find that sweet spot. Cass laughing says, Fizzle, is that Fizzle or Frizzle chickens? Feathers on backwards. Oh, sharks would attack dolphins and other stuff, just eat their liver? I never heard of that before. Cat says, yep, one extremely large one, one tiny one. Eggs are funny. What's the matter says, yep, everything must be balanced well. And Jamie says, I've heard comfrey has B12, but it's said to be dangerous if taken in high qualities. How come B12 isn't B12 across the board? Why are there different? For everyone should have some kind of fermented food in their diet. Essential for gut health. Gut health is essential for heart health, and it's essential for brain health. Blue Moon says, what you like for a Xmas tree, Eric? I don't do a Christmas tree, Blue Moon. If I wore it, it would be probably be a fake one. I would two options: a fake one, or I would drive up to Connecticut and get a hand-picked, lovingly cared for Christmas tree from Eric LaPointe. My only two options. Jimmy says, what's the matter? Yeah, I'm tall. I need even more food, especially when trying to build muscle. So, Jamie, you trying to put on weight? I can live on Weetabix alone. I don't know what Weetabix is. Is that a cereal? Adam says it could probably last longer. What's the matter? L-Dog says no wait. What's the matter says you never seen the fancy chickens? So spectacular. I haven't. Kat's been withholding this chicken information from me. Hey, Vladimir, Yogi, Kat, how you doing? Vladimir, I'm doing well, my friend. Thank you. Dog says, I think the worlds were doing it to sharks. Ah, gotcha. Blue says, to Dot, how many Weetabix can you eat at once? So many fancy chicken breeds. So why would I want a fancy chicken? Vladimir says, good to see you, Kat. How's your day? Hey, Selma. I'm very disappointed in my sister, Sylvia. Did I pronounce that right? I'm sorry, Selma. You won't believe what she did. What did she do? For Weetabix? So what is a Weetabix? Postmaster says, yep, sauerkraut nearly every day. I can't do that smelly sucks kimchi. I'm not fond of kimchi either. What's the drink? I need to add more fermented food in my diet. Hey, Terry. Jamie Brown asking. Jamie Brown, are you the dietitian and a personal trainer? I think Jamie is just extremely knowledgeable. Shredded wheat in a brick shape. Gotcha. And you eat 4 of those? Or what's the matter? Eats 4 of those? Probably the one thing that you're not doing that you should do. I'm not saying this like directed at anyone overall. Add fermented food. Focus says kimchi has fish sauce. What's the matter says, why want a fancy chicken? For the home protection, obviously. Oh, obviously. How did I miss that? What's the matter? Thank you for pointing that out to me. Adam says, yeah, I get free blueberries and pig eggs. Do they taste any different? Blue Moon wants to know if Adam likes Christmas. Someone says her imaginary friend and her brother snuck outside at 3 a.m. in the morning. That's not good. They're home safe now, though. Jimmy says, I'm just sharing what I've learned over the years. Jimmy says, how about maybe what is that, Velmir? Focus says, I do Loveville. Oh, there you go. Kombucha. Thank you, Adam. Yes, I was getting that on a regular basis. Someone on the West Coast sent me like 3 or 4 cases that lasted me a long time. This is several years ago. This was like 2020, 2021. That says, never tried kimchi. I imagine I'd like it though. That says, yes, Yogi, it's a fortified breakfast cereal. Very tasty. But you got a laugh going after that. Is it really tasty? Adam says, in the 80s, we got B and took it in the nose, very absorbent. Don't remember that. L-Dog says, Weetabix with loads of sugar is nice. Tiger King wants to know if S. Dot likes Christmas. Selma loves Christmas. So I'm going to call her boyfriend Jackson about this. I think you should, Selma. Focus says, I'm sure you can get vegan kimchi. I believe so, but you could always just do sauerkraut. Not fond of sauerkraut. But Coach Stan John, you guys familiar with Coach Stan John? I believe I believe Dan, Poor Man's Gym, is familiar with Coach Stan John. He says, take it like a supplement. Take a teaspoon. If you don't like it, take a teaspoon, swallow it down. Follow it with a bunch of water. Amy says, or Jamie says, have you tried making persimmon and cocoa pudding? I have not. You want to know what the best pudding is? Butterscotch pudding is the best pudding in the world. Oh, it's a Korean cuisine. What's it consist of? Adam says, I love Indian food. Blue Moon says, here. Elrock says, he's no one's daddy online. Someone says she's had it with her brother and sister. Not easy being the older, is it? Fitness Fallon says, I love sauerkraut. It's very good for you. Essa says, yes, Blue Moon, I'm a Christmassy guy. What's your favorite Christmas special? Kielbasa and sauerkraut, yummy. Kielbasa is a sausage, right? Kat says, well, dang, I like sauerkraut. I did not know that was fermented. It is, and it's good for you. It's very good for the gut. If you could take some every day, it would have a dramatic effect on your health. As the gut goes, so goes the body. Hey, Jamie, what are your recommendations for fermented food? What's the matter says, Kat, indeed very healthy. Sauerkraut goes well with avocado. Interesting. Huh. I might be able to do something with that. Thank you for that. What's the matter? Old Dog says, Blue Moon's Blue Noob strikes again. Adam says, I didn't really assault Santa. I believe you. What's the matter? Oops, I've read that already from What's the Matter. What's the Matter says, bah humbug. He said he was just joking, Blue Moon. Anyone familiar with methylene blue? I'm not. Sanford says Breaking Bad. So we're going to wrap things up, guys. 1 hour, almost 1 hour and 15 minutes. Cat needs to get to bed. It's just, he explained it up above. He said it was just a joke. So we're going to let it slide. We're going to let it slide. Probiotics are better when paired with prebiotics. So how would you get both at once? We got a thumbs up. We might have to wait for another discussion to follow up with that. Falcon says, no, I didn't. What didn't you do, Falcon, my friend? Lucy says she'll see everyone in a couple weeks. Lucy is taking a bit of a break from a well-deserved break. If you look at her channel, she did a 5-hour live stream yesterday. Amazing. Adam says lots of commercials for methylene blue. I haven't seen any. High fiber foods. Gotcha. Well, I'm like the fiber king. I don't know exactly how many grams of fiber, but I get a lot of fiber. Yes, the gut is definitely. I wouldn't even say it's a second brain. Some might say it's the largest part of the brain. You know, we're literally made up of more microbes than we are human cells. Yeah, 5 hours. Isn't that crazy, old dog? And it's not just 5 hours, it's an engaged 5 hour. Cat says, "Oh, I miss you, Lucy. If you come back early, I won't complain." Boomman says, "Gonna bring them this live end sniper." Old dog says, "My God is smart. It always tells me stuff." Intuition, good to listen to. Lucy says, "Thank you, Cat. Love you so much." Adam says, "Have a great break, Lucy." And again, it's a well-deserved break. She's been working hard. She's been through the ringer, getting some rest. I have not taken a break. Ever. I don't take a break from anything. Weird. I know. I am. You don't have to tell me that. I know it. You know it. It's that thing that we don't speak about between us, right? Hangs in the air. And yet we both know it. Why is Yogi so weird? Because he's a yogi. That's what he does. Got microbiome, feeds on fibers like resistant starch, pectin, inulin, beta glucan, etc. Yep, I got all that covered. I just need to add in a little more fermented food. 60s card. I'm not afraid to play the 60s card. But only when it's convenient. Lucy says, "Thank you for the very kind words, Yogi Eric." You're welcome, Lucy. My gut took the ACT for me. Cat says, "I agree with you, Adam. Guilt over what you eat can be worse than the actual eating." Oh, I agree. And Adam says, "All this aside, I think it's more important to love the food." I agreed. That's the whole nature of prasad, which is the blessing of food, lovingly prepared. It's a yogic ritual. I like to do Ho'oponopono when that's the Hawaiian shamanistic art of reconciliation, forgiveness, because you're erasing the karmic load that any fruit that you have, and it's an act of gratefulness. I try to see how far back I can trace that gratefulness to the thing that I'm eating, all the way from delivery to cashier to truck driver to picker to farmer to the land to the nutrients of the earth to the rainfall, whatever it is. How far back can I take it? To the sun? That says cooked with love. Yep. Falcon says the name Eric primarily means eternal ruler or soul ruler and has Old North origins. It is derived from the Old Norse elements. Interesting. I actually didn't know that. Is the pile technically a brain tumor? That I don't know. Thanks, Tiger King. Us weirdos stick together. Thank you, Swatton. Glad that we're on the same team. Adam says it's supposed to be an honor to cook for ashrams. Yes. Jamie says, "You think a healthy gut microbiome can help people with conditions like autism and ADHD?" That's interesting. I don't know. Jamie, I'm going to say I don't know. Now, you're going to know this better than me. Do you believe that autism and ADHD are conditions that need to be fixed? Or if they're seen in the proper light, can they be gifts? Think of some of the great things that people with ADHD, they used to call it the Edison gene or the hunter gatherer gene. Maybe some of the great minds, maybe Thomas Edison was autistic. Auto says, no one like Tony Blair. Cat is ready for bed. I'm ready for bed too. I want to read for a little bit before I go to bed. I do read every night, but not as long as I would like to. It's part of my sleep hygiene. Important to pick the proper book. Jamie, I'd like to talk more about that. I can understand it. Like what said, that's why I said that you would know better. They can be gifts in some ways, but can be a hindrance in other ways. But that could be true about so many other gifts. But if they were recognized by a larger audience as gifts, do you think that would make it easier? Because people would relate to it differently. The onus, the responsibility wouldn't be on you to relate to others so much as it would be on them in order to relate to you. It would be a two-way street. It wouldn't just be your struggle. Oh, for you guys, yeah, we're another week or so for us. I think we're the Sunday after. I don't know. I think it's the first Sunday in October, first Sunday in November. Jamie says it can cause dysregulation. Thoughts, maybe healthy gut microbiome can improve weaknesses. Interesting. The gut is said to be the second brain. Yeah, we talked about that. I'm not even sure that I would call it the second brain. What if it was all brain? The whole body was all brain. Postmatter says, ever read Philosophical Investigations by Wittgenstein? I have not, but I am familiar with him. Man, he's definitely out of my league philosophically, as well as he's very mathematical as well, wasn't he? So Falcon says, I'm not sure I want to read this. His second brain is his PP. For some people, probably for much of my earlier life, it was my first brain. It was my only brain. Jamie says, I've noticed last few years some of my symptoms have subsided. Like I have less need for a strict routine. You think that's from change in diet? Exercise too, maybe? Foodman says, what kind of film you like? Nowadays, I like happy ending stories. Adam says, Jamie, I've heard so many culprits for autism. Some strong against forever chemicals. Yeah, believes he was a mathematician or a professor of math. Jamie says possibly both. Exercise has neurological benefits too. It does. As well as being in nature. I think we all suffer, many of us suffer from nature deficit. All right, guys, let me wrap things up. Thanks for hanging out with me. 42 thumbs up. A big thank you for Jacob Colby hanging out with us and helping me get. It's been a while since I've had 43. Focus, it's just jokes. It was a good one. Caught me by surprise, but it was a good one. Sniper says heavy metals from the moment you arrive doesn't help. On so many levels, Sniper. Yep, on so many levels. You're right about that. Yeah, I've heard that creatine one of the reasons I reintroduced it back, although they're saying that you got to take a ton of it nowadays. It used to be 5 milligrams. Now it's been reduced to 2.5 because of the micronized creatine. But for brain benefits, they're saying you could take up to 25 grams. Adam says, I'm taking up disc golf. No matter how I play, I always have a good time. I've done that a little bit. We have a course not far from here. It is a lot of fun. You're right about that. Good night, Lucy. Yeah, Jamie said, but you need quite a lot. I wonder what the minimum dosage for maximum benefit would be. Kat says, good night, Lucy. I love you. You should take more if you're a vegan. Man, I don't know if I want to take more, to be honest. I'm going to have to consider that. It's not a bad supplement. It's one of the most heavily researched supplements. There's been no ill effects, although it can cause some issues, just like digestive wise, if you take too much. All right, guys. Body produces some, but if you eat meat, you get more from it too. Gotcha. DC says, I love you too, Cat. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hey, Environment. Thanks for coming in. Sorry that we got to run. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.